Drake has had a lot of controversy lately, whether it be sales related, canceling his tour, a drone attacking him suing UMG, or his beef with Kendrick. But one controversy that I think has gone way too under the radar is Freddie Gibbs, among other artists, accusing Drake of stealing their work. And this is far from the first time that Drake has been accused of stealing someone else's work in his music. It all started on February 13th of this year when Drake and Party Next Door released their collab album, Some Sexy Songs for You. After the release, Freddie Gibbs tweeted $3 for you, referring to his album Soul Sold Separately. This album was also stylized with $3. If you guys don't know, Freddie Gibbs is a very successful rapper. He's not like super mainstream, but he's worked with tons of great producers, for example, like The Alchemist and people like that. And he's fairly respected in the hip hop community. And while you may think just some dollar signs is not a big deal, he also tweeted, "Damn, they even stole the rabbits too, I'm flattered." Freddie said this because there was rabbits on the back of the cover that had the track list of Some Sexy Songs for You. And Freddie is referring to the Soul Sold Separately album cover, and Freddie in general is known for rabbits. He has tons of rabbit visuals in songs like Big Boss Rabbit, Space Rabbit, Rabbit Island, and Rabbit Vision. One fan said in response to this, using the triple dollar signs and a rabbit from Freddie Gibbs is nasty work. Another said, thought this was a Freddie Gibbs drop at first with the bunnies and the dollar signs. So clearly this imagery is heavily associated with Freddie if all these people and fans are noticing it. After all this came out, Freddie said shout out souljaboy, referencing the fact that Drake allegedly stole from Soulja too.
Yeah, Drake? Drake? The nigga that got bodied by Pusha T? The nigga that hiding his kid from the world, but his world wouldn't hide from the kid? Aubrey Graham in a wheelchair? Drake?
Yes!
Y'all niggas better stop playing with me. I ain't teach Drake everything he know.
Hold on, you taught Drake everything he know.
Y'all didn't hear Drake on his first song? Tell me what's really going on. Drizzy Drake back in this thing already. That's me what's really going on. Drizzy Drake back in this thing already. That's Soulja.
Hey, I would've never thought, listen.
Tell me what's really going on. Soulja boy up in this thing already. What's happening?
YouTube won't let me play it because of copyright, so I'll just sing it. Tell me what's really going on. Drizzy back up in this thing, I'm ready. What's happening?
He copied my whole flow.
That's Kiss Me Through the Phone.
He copied my whole flow.
Oh,
word for word, bar for bar.
This was an iconic incident where Drake was called out for stealing Soulja Boy's flow word for word, bar for bar. Some claim that Drake was just paying homage, but with all of the examples of Drake stealing or borrowing artist flows, I'm not so sure about that. So clearly Freddie was making a pretty funny reference after accusing Drake of stealing his too. Anyway, some fans tried to counter by saying that this isn't unique to Freddie, it's just dollar signs and rabbits. But a statement from the interviewer Bootleg Kev made this incident seem a little bit worse for Drake. Kev said on Twitter, "Myself, Freddie Gibbs, and Drake sat at a bar in West Hollywood for over an hour talking basketball, hip-hop, etc. Gibbs, my witness, Drake was arguing with me about why I thought he didn't have a classic album. Same convo where Drake and I made a bet about my Phoenix Suns. During that convo, Fred and Drake talked about his hopping on something for Soul Sold Separately. Freddie sent him a record Pharrell produced that never made the album, but Drake had intended to get on it or something. Never came to fruition, but Drake is a fan of Freddie, as any hip-hop head would be." This post was also accompanied with a pic of Freddie and Drake, proving that at the very least they had talked to each other and know each other. Kev followed up by saying, "I'm not saying the coincidence of Drake and P&D using dollar signs and rabbits was intentional or not, but what y'all OVO hoes not about to do is act like Freddie Gibbs is reaching. And while this may just seem like some coincidences, I mean it's not like Freddie Gibbs owns rabbits and dollar signs, there's a few more instances of Drake stealing that really make it seem like this is a common pattern for him. And this isn't even the only thing he was accused of stealing from this album. John River, a fellow Canadian rapper, called out Drake and P&D for allegedly trying to steal his sauce. This is because the album cover for Some Sexy Songs for You is shot very similar to this scene from John Rivers' Hope City 2 music video. John took to Instagram to speak on the situation. He said, "Party Next Door wanted to get on a call after my video went viral in the country. On this call that lasted around 2 hours, he told me he watched the video 20 times and me in front of the Monroe Towers, which is the towers from the video and the cover, was labeled new innovative, and iconic. Why are you getting attention instead of me is exactly what he said. Apparently, Party Next Door said that John had to pay homage and was super fixated on every aspect of this music video. John also said that another OVO artist asked John to write for him, and he also said that these weird chats with OVO artists had been happening for a while. He continued on his Instagram, "I saw the Party Next Door cover and I instantly knew what had happened and what had been happening." He continued to say, "I would never claim a freestanding building as my own. Telling someone after obsessing over their work you want to be involved, dissecting it, being rejected, and then stealing their identity and reselling it as your own is insane." So basically, John felt that since he had been complimented and praised so much and they even tried to work with him, that was basically their way of just trying to wine and dine him and take his stuff. And while clearly this wasn't Drake directly, and who knows, Drake might not have even known about it, it was members of his OVO label. Drake and OVO have been accused of siphoning content from other artists for years. The best example of this is The Weeknd. Drake met The Weeknd in 2010 and immediately linked up with him. The Weeknd wrote 3 tracks on Drake's 2011 album Take Care. Because of The Weeknd's talents, Drake really wanted to sign him and he was talking about it all the time. Drake said, "I want to continue being involved in his career and vice versa and keep making music together. As far as on paper, it's all being worked out. But that's not really what counts anyway. What counts to me is the fact that affiliation is so known, and that's all I really care about." But clearly that wasn't all he really cared about, as he always was talking about signing The Weeknd.
"This is forever the first artist that OVO ever had and still has, and OVO XO is alive forever, I promise."
But then, The Weeknd signed with Republic Records, which very obviously upset Drake. After this happened, Drake said on Twitter, "You won't get away with just a thank you. You owe me a favor." So what does all this have to do with Drake taking from OVO artists? Well, The Weeknd later revealed that the songs that he gave to Drake were originally meant for his album House of Balloons. He also made it sound like in a couple of interviews that he didn't really want to give Drake these songs. It almost sounds like he was pressured. He said, "House of Balloons was actually supposed to have more songs than it does. I had so many records left, and then Take Care came through. Crew Love, Shot for Me, and The Ride were supposed to be on House of Balloons. I wanted to come out with like 14 records. I felt The Ride was the last one, and it wasn't done yet." Drake heard it and he was like, "This shit's crazy." He liked it so much. He was like, "I need to have this, man. I know I've already taken Shot for Me and Crew Love and this and that." And me, I was hungry at the time. I was like, "Dude, take anything." At that point, I was like, hell yeah. On top of this, The Weeknd later said to Rolling Stone, "I gave up almost half of my album. It's hard. I will always be thankful. If it wasn't for the light he shined on me, who knows where I'd be. And everything happens for a reason. You never know what I would say if the success wasn't in front of me right now." So clearly The Weeknd wasn't really happy about giving a bunch of his songs to Drake. It seems like he had a whole vision for this album and that wasn't able to come to fruition. But at the same time, he was also grateful for the opportunity Drake had given him. Of course, Drake and The Weeknd had more beef for other reasons. I've talked about this pretty extensively on the channel, but who knows where The Weeknd might be if he had signed to OVO. And him not signing was a major reason that it drove a wedge between them. However, I think the prime example of Drake straight up stealing from another artist is when he took from Dram on the song Hotline Bling. Dram is an artist who now goes by the name Shelly, and back in 2014 he released a single called Cha Cha on his first mixtape. And this track went crazy. He even got a cosign from Beyonce and Chance the Rapper. This launched Dram to a whole new level of success and even landed him a record deal. But then in 2015, Drake released a song called Cha Cha Remix. In this song, it had a similar chord progression and melody and just kind of overall vibe to Dram's Cha Cha. I mean, it was called a remix originally. Then it was later renamed to Hotline Bling and it became one of Drake's biggest songs. Dram said on Twitter, "Yeah, I feel I got jacked for my record, but I'm good." He followed up by saying, "Bitter though, because after my performance, all I'm seeing is Cha Cha Hotline Bling comparisons on my timeline." Even Erykah Badu responded saying, "We loved Cha Cha first." After not talking about this for quite some time, Drake eventually spoke to Fader, saying that this was basically one of those songs where everyone wanted to do a remix and put their own spin on it. He said, "You know, like in Jamaica, you'll have a rhythm, and it's like everyone has to do a song on that. Imagine that in rap, or imagine that in R&B. Imagine if we got one beat and every single person, me, this guy, all these guys, had to do a song on that one beat." So even though there's been a bit of argument about whether or not these songs are similar, Drake pretty much admitted to trying to take some inspiration from this song.
But did Drake kill your record? Did it hurt your record when he put it out?
Yeah, it really did.
You know that as a DJ.
Damn, but I thought it was still gonna work on the charts. Damn.
You would at least think the DJs would blend it in.
But
though.
guess what?
Play
Guess
Cha Cha
what?
and Hotline Bling.
Now
Guess
Drake
what?
sold it up a lot.
We got this whole junk 1 year later.
You right, broccoli.
Look at God.
I heard
Look at
Drake.
God.
And let's get the record straight, yo. I don't have a personal problem
No,
with
we know,
Drake.
we know
you
you
feel me? Like, it was just that record where was the issue. Like, bro, like, I listen to Views, I listen to artists. Like, he's one of the illest. Like, I grew, you know.
Do you feel like you got what you deserved out of the Cha-Cha record, though? Like, do you feel like you got the most out of it for you?
It made everybody know who
And
you
God's
were.
plan, yeah.
And clearly Drake's song heavily overshadowed drums. This incident resulted in fans saying things like, Drake is really the British Museum of the music industry. For some reason, years later on the track Back Outside Boys on his collab album with 21 Savage called Her Loss, Drake decided to diss Dram even though he took his song, which prompted Dram to respond in a video.
Hey, somebody tell Drake to shut the f up about that shit, man. 5 years ago, this nigga never even f***ing touched me, nigga. I pressed his ass. His f***ing bodyguards, goddamn. I ain't gonna hold you. His bodyguards went to town on the kid. But his bodyguards did, not his bitch ass. He ain't touched me.
But that wasn't all that Drake allegedly took in this track. A lot of fans accused the video for Hotline Bling of taking the style of artist James Terrell. They thought that he was stealing or at the very least was inspired. However, it did turn out that Drake has mentioned him before and it may have been an inspiration, and to be fair, Terrell wasn't upset. He said, "While I am truly flattered to learn that Drake fucks with me, I nevertheless wish to make clear that neither I nor any of my woes was involved in any way in the making of the Hotline Bling video." So when isolated, it seems like most of these incidents could be chalked up to inspiration or coincidence, except for probably the Dram one, because like everyone was saying that Drake took it, and to be fair, Drake straight up admitted to taking it. Regardless though, because of this pattern that we're seeing, it's tough to say that Drake doesn't just straight up steal sometimes, especially since Drake has literally paid off a guy for stealing his lyrics. In late 2013, rapper Forte went after Drake for stealing his bars. This is all because of Drake's verse on YG's track Who Do You Love. He said, "In this song, Drake copies my lyrics and lines from my Players Club song and pays no homage." The YG and Drake track was released in 2013, while Forte's track was from '94. There was even a video comparing Forte's song to Drake's verse, and it is again word for word, bar for bar. But the video's got German subtitles, so I apologize about that. I don't know why it has that.
Freaky in the studio late night. That's why the beats that you hear coming real tight.
We turned up in the studio late night. That's why the songs that you hear coming real tight.
Something to roll to, something to stroll to. If you's a player in the game, this'll hold you.
OVO crew, nigga, thought I told you. If you a player in the game, this should hold you.
A lot of fools put salt in the game to where these women get the notion that they running the game.
A lot of fools putting salt in the game until these women get the notion that they running the game.
The verses are very clearly the exact same, and because of this, Forte was planning on suing. However, he never did, but according to his manager, Drake's label paid $100,000 to settle the beef, which to me seems like hush money, because if Drake was really paying homage, then why would he pay this guy? It's likely he might have been worried about a lawsuit, so that's why he paid this guy off. And of course, there was also the infamous incident where Drake was accused of stealing XXXTentacion's flow. I'm sure we're all familiar with the track Look At Me by X, which was going viral at the time that Drake previewed a snippet for a track called KMT. And in this song, the flow was extremely similar to X's.
Demon just got out of can. I gave my bro in advance. Love is just not in my past.
Ayy, can't keep my dick in my pants. Ayy, my bitch don't love me no more. Ayy,
she get me out on like bro.
This resulted in an entire beef between the two artists, mostly X just calling out Drake, and many fans sided with him because of the similarities.
Drake.
Okay.
Drake hit up a DJ that I fuck with. You feel me? And bruh told me, he was like, yo, the nigga Drake, watch your interview. He said he fuck with you and he fuck with your partner Ski Mask. He's like, yo, he's saying he go call your manager within the next few days.
Okay.
So I'm amped up. Nigga, I fuck with you. Initially, he was supposed to contact one of my managers. So he doesn't do it. That same fucking week, bro, I go on to, well, I can't go on to it obviously because I'm locked up.
Yeah.
I'm on the securest phone, you feel me, for this shit.
So you in jail, he's supposed to contact your manager, and then what happened?
He dropped the fucking video of previewing that shit in Amsterdam with some nigga from the UK.
X claimed that Drake had actually reached out to his team, so Drake was definitely aware of X when he made this song with that flow. And it wasn't just the flow, it was the rhyme scheme too. In the comments of this video, a fan said, Drake is infamous for stealing flows. The truth is, Drake is a culture vulture, biting flows and entire styles. There's influence in creating something derivative of someone out of respect, and then there's straight up copying / biting someone's entire flow or style, which Drake is guilty of countless times. And clearly, as we've seen, this is becoming more and more obvious. A YouTuber by the name of Kamal that I think is super underrated made a video talking about how Drake is a fraud and copies all sorts of different styles. I can't really explain it as well as he can, so I'm just gonna let him explain.
The greatest advice Wayne has ever given me, and it's a constant, it's less of advice and more of a constant reminder, which I love him so much for saying this to me, is, you know, he's always just like, man, please be yourself. Please don't ever try and be me or anybody else.
The thing is dead, trust me, headshot them bomb.
Don't ever go get tattoos. You don't have to dress any different, you know, because I like from the day Wayne met me to now, I haven't changed anything about myself.
Aubrey, what happened? You can tell me. Wayne, why would Drake be himself when he can just pretend to be a bunch of other people? Because this is what Drake has become over these past 10 years or so. He sees a culture that has a buzz and that he has no genuine appreciation for, and attaches himself to it like a leech for clout, validation, and financial gain. He did it with the UK scene, the reggaeton scene, the Caribbean scene, and now the Atlanta scene.
So like I said, in isolation, all of these could just be instances of influence or coincidence, but after paying off a rapper whose bars he stole, low-key admitting to jacking Dram's song, and countless other examples of these things that we've talked about in this video, there seems to be a pattern of Drake just taking whatever music he pleases, repurposing it as his own, and since he is the bigger artist, most people are going to know that from him and not from the smaller guy he took it from. If you like this video, you might like my video about Drake's shady relationship with Stake, the online casino. I go into depth about how it's just kind of a weird market and economy that he promotes all the time. Anyways, if you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and even consider subscribing. Other than that, it's been your boy Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.